and I trust you had a very restful evening. Not so sure about everybody. I saw some people walking across the road very late last night, across the street. I won't say who or which delegation, but they know who they are. We are about to begin. So if we could we're waiting to welcome our Premier and our Governor. Thank you. So if you could just stand for the arrival of the Honorable Premier, Honorable G. Wayne Bandron. Morning, Premier. Welcome. Thank you. And remain standing for the arrival of His Excellency, the Governor. Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you very much again. So as is customary here in the Cayman Islands, we like to start ahead of time. So, thank you. A pleasant good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 55th CFATF Plenary. Very significant occasion, as you will all appreciate. CFATF is marking its 30 years as the first FSRB. So we are quite an adult, if I might put it that way. As is customary, we will start off with the singing of the national anthem, and we're going to ask Ms. Janelle Cahoon to do so for us. It's customary that we stand when this is happening.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Janelle Cahoon, and I am the head girl of the Clifton Hunter High School. I will be singing the national anthem, followed by the national song. God save our gracious King, long live our noble King. God save the King. Send him victorious, happy and glorious, long to reign over us. God save the King. O land of soft, fresh breezes, of verdant trees, reflected everywhere. Oh, sea of palest emerald, merge into darkest blue. Whene'er my thoughts fly Godward, I always think of you. Dear verdant island set in blue Caribbean sea, I'm coming, coming very soon. Oh, beauteous isle to thee, although I've wandered far, my heart enshrined thee yet. Homeland fair Cayman Isle, I cannot thee forget.
Thank you, Janelle, for those beautiful renditions. Thank you very much. Remain standing as we ask Pastor Bob to lead us in prayer.
Let us pray. Father in heaven, we thank you that we are here today, that you've brought everyone in safely overseas and over trees. We are so grateful for your compassion. Now, as we commence this plenary session, we ask that you will give wisdom from on high to every individual who will participate. May the discussions, the decisions, and the enactment of the things that this task force will do today, may it bring you glory. And may every individual whose life will be impacted by the decisions made here today, may it be for their better. May the objectives be accomplished, and may your name be glorified. We ask for peace and for everything that you desire, that it will be materialized because of these sessions. We ask in Jesus' name, amen. Thank you.
Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you, Pastor Bob. Good morning again, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to bear with me as I go through this protocol list, recognizing our distinguished persons present. And the hope is that, given that this is a mouthful, once I've gone through this, then those coming after me will simply just adopt the protocols. So, His Excellency the Governor, Mr. Martin Roper, Honorable Premier, Madam Chief Justice, Madam Speaker, Honorable Acting Governor, Honorable Deputy Premier, Honorable Ministers of Cabinet, Parliamentary Secretaries, Honorable Leader of the Opposition, elected members of Parliament, Honorable Visiting Ministers, Attorneys Generals, and Senators, and judges, CFATF Chair, Madam Cheryl Lister, past chairs, Colonel Croft and A.G. Pinder, Solicitor General and Chief Officer, Ms. Reshma Sharma, our DPP, Mr. Davies, Commissioner of Police, Cabinet Secretary, Mr. Samuel Rose, Executive Director, Ms. Dawn Spicer, Managing Director of SEMA, Mrs. Cindy Scotland, all other CFATF colleagues and families, including FATF, co-sons, IMF, UNDOC, ECB, and others. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning again. You will agree with me that it was quite a mouthful. That's it. Thank you very much. As I said, welcome to the 55th plenary for the CFATF, and it is being held here at the beautiful, magnificent Kimpton Seafire Resort and Spa in Grand Cayman. Special welcome, of course, to those of you visiting from overseas. We trust that your experience through the airport and to your hotel and transitioning into Cayman Islands in general has been nothing but pleasant. So on behalf of the government, we're delighted, immensely delighted, to extend a warm Cayman kind welcome to you. I mentioned that this is a very significant plenary for a number of reasons, not least of which is because it is the first in-person plenary for the last 3 years, of course, thanks to COVID. There's also significance that CFATF, as the first FATF regional style body, is celebrating or marking its 30th years of existence. And maybe of less significance, but nonetheless of some significance, is the fact that this will be the third occasion on which the Cayman Islands will be hosting the plenary and, of course, assuming chairmanship of the organization. We're looking forward to doing so. And so at this stage, I will invite, I'm sorry. Pardon me, yes. So we now invite His Excellency the Governor, Mr. Martin Roper, to provide remarks. His Excellency.
Good morning, everyone. And I am mightily relieved not to have to go through that protocol list once again that the Honourable Attorney General read out. But it is my distinct pleasure to have the opportunity to address this important gathering this morning. As Governor of the Cayman Islands, a British overseas territory, I represent His Majesty King Charles III. I have constitutional responsibilities in key reserved areas of defence, external affairs, internal security, and the public service. I also have overall responsibility for good governance. The locally elected government headed by our Honourable Premier has a large degree of domestic autonomy. In addition to the laws that are passed in Parliament here in the Cayman Islands, under that devolved autonomy for domestic issues, relevant orders in council are assented to in the United Kingdom and take immediate effect locally. Several overseas territories orders relate to sanctions and other restrictive measures, including those for terrorism financing and the financing of proliferation. Given the global nature of money laundering, terrorism financing and the financing of proliferation, my office is responsible for providing support to the Cayman Islands as the jurisdiction tackles such transnational crimes. I am delighted to say that in recognition of Cayman's ability and willingness to comply with international conventions in this space, the UK has extended the United Nations Convention Against Corruption to the Cayman Islands with effect from the 14th of December 2020. Even more recently, the UK extended the International Convention for the Suppression of the Financing of Terrorism to the Cayman Islands on the 12th of August 2021. As further evidence of the UK's support, a technical assistance advisor from the UK's Treasury organised a virtual forum in September this year for the British Crown dependencies and overseas territories on countering the financing of terrorism, with a focus on developing CFT policies and understanding the terrorism financing risk. This forum will continue with an in-person meeting already scheduled for the week of the 3rd of April 2023 in Miami. It will help not only jurisdictions that have not yet been assessed in the 4th round, but also help to prepare others for the 5th round. On the 13th of October 2022, the UK's Office of Sanctions Implementation concluded a multi-day technical exchange with the US's Office of Foreign Assets Control with a view to enhancing coordination and collaboration. Over the coming months, there will be focus on areas of common interest, such as cyber threats, misuse of virtual assets, improving information sharing, and ensuring that sanctions do not prevent humanitarian assistance from reaching persons in need. This initiative will certainly benefit the Cayman Islands, which relies on the OFSI list in implementing targeted financial sanctions. And I'm immensely pleased to note the progress that the Cayman Islands has made in strengthening its AML, CFT, and CPF regime since I was appointed governor in October 2018. The jurisdiction is now one of very few countries with all 40 recommendations now rated as compliant or largely compliant. And one seminal moment was in February 2021, when the FATF noted the significant progress the jurisdiction had made following the end of the FATF ICRG observation period, with 60 of 63 recommended actions completed, leaving only 3 action items on the jurisdiction's action plan. Under the stewardship of our excellent Attorney General, as chairman of our anti-money laundering steering group, and through the dedication and commitment of professionals within the relevant competent authorities, I am confident that progress will soon be made on the one remaining action item. After 4 years here as a UK-appointed governor, I can assure everyone that the Cayman Islands is fully committed to the fight against money laundering, terrorism financing, and the financing of proliferation. This can be seen from the constant improvements and refinements being made to its AML, CFT, CPF regime, including the implementation of the travel rule for virtual asset providers on the 1st of July of this year. These upgrades bode well as the jurisdiction anticipates its 5th mutual evaluation a few years from now. Indeed, I would add, from a UK perspective, Cayman has demonstrated an exemplary attitude to compliance with international best practice and requirements. Just last month, the UK government pledged a voluntary contribution of over £1.6 million to the FATF to support the work of the Global Network Coordination Group in providing assistance to eligible countries and territories, and to also provide support to the FATF-style regional bodies, FSRB, from 2022 to 2025. This is being done to strengthen the global network through activities such as mentoring to FSRB secretariats, advising FSRB secretariats on the interpretation of the FATF standards and methodology, and promoting their better understanding, and supporting FSRBs in conducting mutual evaluations and follow-up events. No doubt this contribution will benefit the FATF Secretariat and its member jurisdictions, including the British Overseas Territories. So in closing my remarks, let me once again extend a very warm Cayman kind welcome, as we say around here, to all who are attending this important meeting today. It was a distinct pleasure to meet many of you last night at Government House for a wonderful reception there. And I do hope you get the chance to see as much of our islands as possible over the next few days, though I do recognize you have a very, very full agenda, and that may not be possible for all of you. But I just want to sort of end by saying it's been a huge privilege for me to be governor of these islands for the last 4 years, and I'm sure that you, like myself, will leave these islands with a highly positive impression. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Sorry. Your Excellency has been a very strident supporter of our AML CFT initiatives, and I certainly want to thank him and his office also for hosting that very nice soiree last evening. We will now hear from another very strident supporter of our AML framework, the Honorable Premier. He and his government has been very supportive in providing resources, ensuring that we have the necessary, not just administrative framework in place, but also necessary legislation in combating scourge of money laundering and combating financing of terrorism. Honorable Premier.
Thank you very much, AG. Thank you also for joining the governor, let me say, and thank you for adequately completing that arduous task of addressing protocol, which is difficult looking around this room filled with some amazing people. Some of you are friends, old friends, and I hope by the time you leave, many of you will be new friends. So, good morning, everyone. It is very much an honor to be here with you. It is a privilege to be able to welcome you to our wonderful Cayman Islands, to this plenary session. And of course, a very, very special welcome to all of you, those who have traveled to be here with us. Now, these CFATF 55th Plenary and Working Group meetings mark two very important milestones. The AG has referred to one earlier in terms of our ability to attend in person for the first time in several years. But of course, they also mark the 30th anniversary of the CFATF as the first FATF-style regional body and associate member of the FATF. So congratulations to the CFATF on this anniversary milestone. Secondly, let me just say, or add, what a delight it is to see you all here face to face. These sessions that will occur over the next few days will help all of us identify and address existing and emerging challenges relating to the prevention, identification, and prosecution of money laundering and the financing of terrorism and the proliferation. Starting from proud but humble beginnings in terms of the Cayman Islands, as a nation of primarily seafarers, probably not much more than 6 or 7 decades ago, Cayman has become a highly regarded international financial center. And with that, of course, comes great responsibility to address AML CFT issues. We take that responsibility here in the Cayman Islands very seriously indeed. Nonetheless, the fourth round CFATF mutual evaluation for Cayman presented some particular challenges as we attempted to understand and implement effectiveness across the 11 immediate outcomes. I was a minister responsible for financial services at the start of the round and at the launch of our first national risk assessment. I thus witnessed firsthand some of the practical challenges in satisfying those effectiveness requirements. There's a saying often attributed to, or misattributed to, Winston Churchill, that a pessimist sees the difficulty in every opportunity and an optimist sees the opportunity in every difficulty. As a nation, we tend to be optimistic. And I believe that it was the case with regard to all the MERs, including the most difficult one. We rose to the challenge and sought to identify opportunities as we addressed the difficulties. We have now successfully completed 62 of the 63 recommended actions as noted previously. And as the Governor noted as well, we are rated largely compliant, or largely compliant on all 40 of the FATF technical recommendations. That, ladies and gentlemen, is no mean feat, yet we continue to be committed to strengthening our AML regime. Today, we have on one action point remaining. Again, HE noted that. And with the industrious team that we have working on this matter, I am certain, I have absolutely no doubt, that we'll be able to demonstrate very tangible progress in short order. I must say that we are in a much better position today, having invested the necessary human and technical resources across the relevant competent authorities. This, of course, is the approach that we must all take to enhancing our reputations. At the end of the day, having an effective AML-CFT regime and being given a clean bill of health by the FATF builds a solid reputation amongst international investors, and it's all interlinked. As Premier of the Cayman Islands, I reiterate my government's commitment at the highest level to the continued enhancement of our anti-money laundering, countering the financing of terrorism, and combating the financing of proliferation framework. We look forward to continued collaboration with our international partners in this endeavor. Now, as we navigate through the final leg of the FATF ICRG process, I want to take this opportunity to thank members of our anti-laundering steering group, headed by our Honorable Attorney General, Mr. Samuel Bulgen, the Interagency Coordination Committee, and all the very capable and dedicated professionals within the various competent authorities. Of course, on the political side, I thank my colleagues, all of them, for their commitment, and in particular my colleague and Minister, the Honorable Andre Ebanks, who you will hear from shortly, for his committed and capable guidance of our financial services industry and towards our ultimate success in this process. However, while we're here, let us not forget the seriousness of the task at hand in working together to fight money launderers, terrorist financiers, and those engaged in proliferation financing. As we work towards these goals, and especially as we prepare for the 5th round of mutual evaluations, let future archival records show, in retrospect, that we did our best to ensure the reputation and interests of the next generation is protected. The Cayman Islands stands ready to continue assisting member jurisdictions as they forge ahead in improving their technical compliance and effectiveness. Some of these assistance activities take place informally. The Cayman Islands has, for example, shared its experience in implementing a supervisory framework for virtual assets and virtual asset service providers. In closing, ladies and gentlemen, let me take this opportunity to again join the Governor in extending a very warm Cayman kind welcome to every single one of you. What an impressive gathering. However, I encourage all of you, those who have been here before, and especially those who have not, take every opportunity you can to enjoy as much of the Cayman Islands as you can. Enjoy our hospitality, and I hope that nobody lets you down. I also, of course, look forward to seeing you tomorrow night at the dinner and cultural event at the Westin Grand Cayman 7 Mile Beach Resort and Spa. Look forward to a very nice evening with everyone. Thank you all very much. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much, Premier, for those very encouraging and insightful remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to just digress a minute by recognizing the Honorable Sabrina Turner, Minister of Health, who is here with us, the Honorable Deputy Speaker, Mr. Dwayne Seymour, our Member of Parliament, Ms. Barbara Connolly, who is also here, Mr. Gus Pope, the Chair of our Anti-Money Laundering Anti-Corruption Commission, Dr. Basdio, Chief Officer in the Ministry of Financial Services, and of course the CABS Sec, who will join us as well. Welcome to you all. Thank you. I see our former national coordinator and our representative from Ms. Hansen. Am I seeing correctly? Yeah, wait on. Thank you. Thanks for coming. And Mr. Siblis from the Judicial and Legal Services Commission. Thank you all. I think I've covered everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, another very strident advocate of our anti-money laundering framework, as well as tax matters, is the Honorable Andre Ebanks, Minister of Financial Services. And I'm sure you will concur with me that if we have strident advocacy from His Excellency the Governor, the Honorable Premier, and the Honorable Minister of Financial Services, then we should be not just heard, but hopefully understood worldwide that we are very serious. We are a very serious jurisdiction when it comes on to discouraging the use of our financial services industry for any nefarious activities, including money laundering and combating financing of terrorism. I now invite Honorable Andre Ebanks to give us remarks.
Good morning, plenary. I see there are applause for premiers, but not ministers. I would like to finalize protocol by recognizing our very able, astute First Lady, Chief Justice Margaret Ramsey Hale. Thank you for coming. That only adds to the pressure of this speech because this was my former criminal law tutor. It also adds pressure to the speech because it's not easy following a premier, and I knew this was going to happen, who also used to be the Minister for Financial Services, who pretty much took everything I was going to say. So I'm going to rip this up, and I will just go with some notes that I scribbled. furiously while I was in waiting. Thank you, AG, thank you to your chambers, thank you to the AML unit, Ministry of Financial Services for organizing this outstanding gathering. This morning I was slightly tardy because it's a morning of 2 speeches. My first speech, about 30 minutes ago, was at the Cayman Captive Forum, which is a forum for those who provide captive insurance and reinsurance products. It is our country's largest forum. It is on record, this is the largest past COVID. They now have 1,500 attendees at the Ritz. And not only does that provide in terms of financial services business, but also what it means for the local economy. That means tourists, taxi drivers, restaurants, who are all ancillary recipients of that type of business. So it's a reminder of the type of business that you do is not just impacting those who are financial services provider, but also the impact of the entire country and what it means to the average person. But that speech, I had to tell them how serious we are. And when we adopt changes and make adjustments to our regulations, it isn't just to disturb them and ruin their day. It is because of how serious we are about the way we're going to fight illicit finance, the way we're going to fight aggressive tax avoidance and tax evasion, so that if you want to do business here and we want to keep you here, we're only interested in sound business. And as far as I can see, looking out into the crowd, there were applause for that because these are also good people who want to do sound business in the Cayman Islands. Now, as a former, I'm a bit of an odd, weird fish because I'm a former civil servant who used to be in the Ministry of Financial Services on the front line with the senior policy advisors who were working on our money laundering regulations, working on our AML CFATF rules along with SEMA, our monetary authority, and others. So I've been on the front line with some of you in trying to shape these rules and getting industry to adjust to box out bad actors and only accept good actors. And I say that because I understand just how arduous a task it can be. But when you see the rules come to fruition, you see the business continues anyway, it gives you a sense of gratification that the rules can work and that you can have simultaneously sound business and sound regulation. And that's what I think we're all here to achieve. I don't think anyone here is in the business of stopping good business, but you want the right business. You want the right business for your country, and you want the right business for your people. So I say that because it demonstrates our high-level political commitment. I had the pleasure for the very first time, even though I was a civil servant, I'd never attended an FATF plenary. And I had the pleasure for the first time to attend one last month in October, this time as the capacity of minister. And what I tried to get across to some of you who may have been there is I didn't want to just evidence our political commitment because I got on a flight and I was able to get to Paris and sat in the chair. What I wanted to get across is the political commitment is not just a presence here at this speech. It's not just a presence at the plenary. It's what we do as the political arm to give the budgetary resources, to have the staff and the IT capability to really implement it. President Joe Biden has a phrase where he says, show me your budget and I'll show you what we care about. And if you look at the Cayman Islands budget, which is a public document, you will see the level of resources that we have put behind to put money where our mouth is. So it's not just about the presence, it's about the resources. And I've told the team, because I also attended the joint group in Nicaragua in September, I'm with you until we are off of the list. I'm in this with you to the end. Because the Cayman Islands, as I said at the plenary in Paris, I'm of the view, based on the facts that the Premier has said to you, and I'm sure the Governor said, is now approaching an era where it has a perception problem and not a standards problem. To seriously road test that idea, our ministry took the step of taking up the invitation of the EU Parliament's 5th Tax Subcommittee. We say this is who we are, and this is what our industry is saying in their marketing brochures, then let's go to a forum where we know we may not be believed and really seriously explain our system and test it. Because how else will we know? And I'm pleased to say that I don't know if anybody had a chance to see it, we can have our Attorney General forward the link, but when explaining an indirect tax system, which provides the ability for tax-neutral investments, where reporting is done so that taxes are paid where they're owed, and the facilitation of information to either capture or prosecute actors can be done as part of a global community. I think we gave that tax committee room for pause, to seriously think whether or not their conception of the Cayman Islands and other jurisdictions in our region is right. And I can't take full credit for it. I drew inspiration from Prime Minister Mia Mottley seeing her on Capitol Hill and being able to explain to the world what we do in the Caribbean and what it means for our people. So as the Cayman Islands takes the chair of this auspicious body, I think we should follow Prime Minister Mia Mottley and be braver. Be braver to tell our story of sound business, sound regulation, taxes are paid where they're owed. And we're doing this not for the financial services providers per se, but I'll end where I began, for our people, all through our regions, all through our countries. So God bless these proceedings, and God bless the Cayman Islands. I look forward to socializing with you later.
Thank you, Minister Andre Evans. It's a familiar face to many of us in this fight against money laundering and related matters. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now hear from the CFATF chair, Ms. Cheryl Lister. And I just want to tell you that don't pay much attention to her size. She actually punches way above her physical size. She is a very staunch advocate in this fight, and she is a very integral part of the Bermudan government advocacy group, and indeed for the region in these matters. And of course, we want to say thanks to her for helping to put this plenary together and to be here with us this morning to provide us with remarks. And she will tell you to preside over her last plenary, and she is so excited, she's almost giddy about that. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Wow. Thank you. I guess it's not just ministers who get or premiers and governors who get applause. Thank you very much, Honorable AG. And I'd like to, protocol having been established, I can tell you I was not looking forward to going through this list, but we are certainly pleased to have all of the dignitaries here with us. Good morning and welcome to CFATF's 55th Plenary. It is really a pleasure to be here in the Cayman Islands at our first physical meeting in 3 long years. It's been a while, certainly, and it's really good to see everyone and to be able to engage in the business of this wonderful organization in such a personal manner. I'd like to thank the Cayman Islands, and I'd like to thank the Honorable Attorney himself for the wonderful hospitality that we have had. And I can tell you, from the moment that the plane landed, it's just been so great in the way that we've been welcomed. And for those of us who are foreign delegates, can we give them a round of applause for that? Governor, Premier, AG, Minister, thank you so much. It's really been wonderful. And I did get an opportunity on Saturday to do a very brief tour of your beautiful country, and truly it is very, very beautiful. And thank you again for all that you've done in welcoming us here. I certainly know, and just in looking around, and the breakfast, the lunches, the events, that there's been a lot of hard work, a lot of people that have been involved in this process, and we really, those of us who are visitors here, certainly appreciate it. In addition to being here in person, the CFATF, as has already been referred to, is celebrating its birthday. Its 30th birthday, 30 years in existence. And we are just very, very proud of that, because we were, in fact, the first FSRB that FATF had. And so we're proud to be able to say that we're now 30 years old, or maybe 30 years wiser. With age comes experience. And so I am pleased to say that despite all of the challenges that we have endured, we as an organization have matured well. And we have learned from our experiences so that we can have a stronger organization with members all attuned to their AML, ATF, CPF requirements. We've heard this morning from the governor, the honorable premier, the honorable minister, and from all of the comments that we have heard, we know that Cayman Islands is committed in this area. They have made it a priority in the past, and they're continuing to make it a priority, and we congratulate them on their achievements today. Please give me a round of applause and that. Thank you. But, you know, it has to apply to all of us. We all have to ensure that we do the things that are necessary to be strong in this area, that we strengthen our engagement with the international bodies to make sure that we are recognized as a force that is committed to preventing these nefarious crimes. So I encourage all of those of you who are here to continue the work, to continue your efforts, and to make sure that CFATF's voice is heard throughout the region and recognized as a force for good in this area. I promise that Ms. Spicer that I will be brief, and so we're getting down to the closing part, and I just want to say that I will continue, we will work arduously to ensure that the levels of compliance with the FATF requirements continue to go to a greater and greater extent with all our members. Our secretariat team are dedicated, led by the executive director, Mrs. Dawn Spicer. They're dedicated to working with each one of our members, and we encourage you to use whatever resources that they are able to assist us with to ensure that we achieve the levels of compliance that we must. But we will do so. We will continue to grow in this area because we are the CFATF. 30 years and counting. And I know that under the leadership of the Honorable Attorney General, we will just grow from strength to strength. Sam, it's been wonderful working with you, and I know we will continue. So thank you again. As I close, I just want to say thank you to all of you for attending, for making this the opening ceremony of this 55th plenary a very special occasion. Thank you again.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Ms. Lister, Madam Chair. As you heard from her, our primary purpose as a FSRB is to implement and monitor measures, help to implement and monitor measures that will deal with money laundering and the financing of terrorism. And of course, as I mentioned before, the Cayman Islands is a proud member and the founding member of the CFATF since 1992. We continue to play our part in ensuring that the organization remain very robust in the fight against money laundering. It only falls for me to say thanks to the following. The Solicitor General, Ms. Reshma Sharma, the Anti-Money Laundering Unit, led by Mr. Francis Arana, Mrs. Simone Banks, Mrs. Kimberly Allen, Ms. Tecia Scott, and also to the CFATF Secretariat, ably led by the Executive Director, Ms. Dawn Spicer, Magdalene Walcott, and others for all the arrangements to date. It has been wonderful, and I have been told that it has been seamless. I'm sure you agree with me that that is correct. Thanks to His Excellency the Governor and his office, again, for a wonderful evening and for his untiring support. Thanks to the Honorable Premier, the Honorable Deputy Premier, Honorable Andre Ebanks, the Minister of Tourism, and indeed all my cabinet colleagues and members of Parliament for their tremendous support in hosting this plenary and, of course, throughout the years in the fight against money laundering. Thanks to the exceptional staff of the Protocol Office, Mr. Jamal Anderson, Ms. Linda Rankin, Mr. Travis, and all the dedicated persons who work tirelessly to ensure our visitors all have a very pleasant Cayman kind experience as they arrived and settled in to their various hotels. Thanks to all the various drivers, thanks to members of the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service for their assistance, and of course, thanks to the magnificent Kimpton Hotel and staff, ably led by Ms. Naomi for the exceptional services so far. Thanks to GIS, and thanks to the Ministry of Health, and in particular the Public Health Department, and especially Mr. Tim McLaughlin for their support. And of course, above all, thanks to you delegates for the support, your eagerness, your passion, and your continuing participation. And this brings to an end the opening ceremony for the plenary. Thank you very much. So I think, unless I'm told otherwise, we will take a break, Ms. Spicer. Yes. Right? Take a break for 15 minutes while we rearrange the room for the working session to begin. Thank you all for coming. Certainly appreciate it. Thanks again. Simon, thank you.